Hey there, folks. It's Vera Wylde, and I wanted to talk about something that I have technically talked about before, but it's been years. It's been a very long time since I talked about this, and that is my voice. Folks, don't comment as much, but every now and then. Sorry, I can tell that the ring light's reflecting in the glasses, and that's bothering me. If it's bothering me, it's definitely going to bother other people. But the thing is, every now and then I get comments about how, well, usually very rudely pointing out that I sound like a man. Or comparing me to certain people, you sound like this, you sound like that. And the reality is I don't do a lot with my voice. I do a little, and I'll talk about that, but by and large, I just talk. If you were to compare me on this channel to Council of Geeks, which I consider to be my main channel, it's my job at this point, you will notice a difference in that I do tend to soften my voice a little bit on here, whereas over there, it's not really pitched lower, but I just don't care about coming across as a bit sharper in my words. And honestly, it probably happens on here a little bit too. I have a strong suspicion, I haven't come back to check, that I'll usually start out and probably end in a deliberately softer toned voice, but then in the middle, I'm not paying attention because I don't script these things. So I'm just saying words as I think them, and my thoughts are going to what I'm going to say next and not on keeping a certain tone. I used to do more than this, though. I used to go deliberately out of my way to pitch up my voice. Now, I never had proper vocal training. I can't afford it at this point, but I was in chorus in middle school. Through high school, I had a certain sense of my voice, and enough of a sense of it to work on this. And it is possible that I could have kept working this. I chose not to. And that's the thing. It was largely a choice. And I say largely because I think there's two factors involved in the fact that I haven't really done much to retrain my voice, and I also don't intend to. One of which is completely outside my control, and one of which was a choice. The thing that's outside of my control is my ADHD. The idea of trying to keep part of my brain occupied on checking and adjusting and being on top of my voice at basically all times until it becomes second nature and I don't have to think about it anymore. The idea of trying to do that, I'm not going to say it's impossible, but it would be, I think, for someone like me, even more work than it is for most folks. And don't get me wrong, folks can absolutely retrain their voices and sound incredibly feminine. Many of my friends who are trans femme have managed to do that. I have largely opted not to. Part of it is that reality of how difficult it would be. But another part of it is I don't care enough. I'm not going to say there's no part of me that cares. There's an idle thought in the back of my head like, maybe that'd be nice. But that's it. It's an idle thought of like, I guess I kind of wonder what it would sound like, but which is not enough for me to muscle through the issues with trying to force it and corral my ADHD. The thing is, though, I'm not dysphoric about my voice. There's a number of things about me that some trans feminine people are dysphoric about, and I am not. I've also said in the past that I have no intention of getting surgeries, be they facial feminization, be it a tracheal shave, be it bottom surgery. I have no interest or intent to do any of those because I'm not dysphoric about any of that. and it's also worth reiterating, my sense of dysphoria is very mild compared to others. My journey has contained very little dysphoria, to the point that I was actually under the impression I didn't have it at all. I'm not sure I still stand by that, but I will absolutely stand by the idea that dysphoria was not the major driving force in my decision to transition. That I will absolutely stand by. But the thing is, my voice doesn't bother me. And if I were to try and retrain it, I wouldn't really be doing it for me. I'd be doing it for other people, so that maybe they'd perceive me a different way. It certainly is irritating, calling for, I don't know, pizza or a hotel reservation or something, and having it immediately default to sir just because they hear my voice. I don't love that, but I don't care. I don't care enough about what other people think when they hear me to retrain my voice for them. I don't care about these people. Anyone who matters in my life isn't bothered by my voice. And in a vacuum, I'm not bothered by my voice either. I'm comfortable with my voice in the same way that I'm comfortable going out without makeup on. This is me. I know what I am. I know who I am. If you have a problem with that, or you're thrown off by the fact that I'm 6 feet tall and I have this voice, or whatever else clocks me, which there's plenty, that's not really my problem. Unless you make it my problem, and that makes you the asshole. Just so we're clear on that. I wanted to talk about this because I feel like there's a number of sweating. Sorry, it has been really, really hot lately. I think there's been a sense that can happen within trans communities and people who are just starting to get a sense of themselves that they're supposed to do the voice training. This is the same sort of communities where oftentimes people will feel like if they start a transition after their early 20s, it's too late and they will never pass. And there's this pushing that the idea of passing is the most important thing. And I've talked about that before. Many trans people will never pass. I will never pass. I also don't care if I do. I look in the mirror and I am very happy with what I see. That is all I ever wanted. And I haven't. And as far as my voice goes, like I said, I do speak softer on here, but if I completely drop the softness out of my voice and it's more here, this is still me. That hasn't changed the fundamentals. It doesn't change my sense of self. This isn't making me dysphoric. This is just a slight shift in my voice that I'm also okay with. Sometimes it's this. Sometimes it's this. Again, you'll notice not really much of a change in pitch, just a softening. That is about as far as I ever have the intent to go. Because there's nothing wrong with having a deeper voice. There's nothing wrong with being tall or muscular or having a receding hairline. There's nothing wrong with you if you can spot the things that in your mind clock you as trans. Now, I'm not saying you have to accept these things. I know I said that I have never had surgeries and don't tend to get them. That's no shame unto those who do. Whatever you need to be happy with yourself and your own body, that's valid. But what I worry about is people feeling an external pressure, feeling that pressure to do it right, to be trans right. That if you look like this, but you have a voice like this, that somehow you've failed transness. You've failed at femininity. It's nonsense. Femininity takes many shapes, and while many of us will go through a phase of performing very traditional femininity, if only to sort of gauge from there where we want to land, that is not an actual measure of quote-unquote success as a trans person. I have no problems with my voice. And if you do, and you want to retrain your voice, all the power to you. That's wonderful, and I wish you the best of luck. But I feel like there's a lack of visibility and a lack of acceptance, often, of trans feminine people who, if you were just to hear the voice, you probably wouldn't assume that they are femme, trans, femme, or cis. And that's okay. We're all just stumbling our way through this. Your voice is not who you are. It is an aspect of you, and it can be whatever you're comfortable with. If the only reason you're trying to retrain your voice is because of how other people treat you, well, if you do make that push, I hope that the retraining helps. But if you don't actually have your own inner desire, that's okay. I'm trans femme in specific, and I don't sound like it to most people's ears. And that's okay. I consider this an effort of visibility, if nothing else. But thank you very, very much for listening. I was going to say watching. This is more about the audio aspects, isn't it? But what I want you to remember more than anything is that you are beautiful, you are valid, you are loved.